Recently, it has come to my attention that Robert Kirkman, the creator of Invincible, has been saying some really ludicrous things towards Superman, stating that Omni-Man would not only defeat Superman, but that he would do it easily. For those that know anything about Clark Kent, aka Kal-El, especially within the comic book iterations, know that he is super overpowered in several ways, whether it be strength, speed, durability, stamina, and the like. So let's go ahead and analyze multiple iterations of Superman to see how Omni-Man would fare against them and see if Robert is capping or not. By the way, if you want to see more versus matchups down the line, please be sure to subscribe and support me on Patreon for early access to videos and much more. First, we'll briefly cover New 52 Superman, who first appeared in 2011. He has a good amount of feats and scaling up his sleeve, such as scaling to Supergirl, who can damage Cyborg Superman, who has stated that he has endured supernovas, which is consistent with Superman also stating that exploding suns are a piece of cake to him, and he's also withstood a black hole pretty easily. He's also fast as as he's been able to fly from the other side of the universe to Earth within 60 days, which is impressive given that the DC universe is repeatedly mentioned as being endless and infinite. Already giving him massively faster than light to infinite flight speeds, he's likely comparable in combat or at least relative, given that he has reacted to and hit the Flash. While accessing the energy from the fire pits of Apocalypse, he becomes the god of strength and casually becomes a multiversal level entity due to him managing to make the Anti-Monitor bleed, who was strong enough to rival Darkseid's power, and who withstood a barrage of attacks from the Green Lantern Corps. He would also scale from God of Death Flash, who penetrated Darkseid. Pause. Next up, we have post-Crisis Superman, who first appeared in 1986's Man of Steel, who is even stronger than New 52 Superman due to the wide menagerie of durability and attack potency at his disposal. For starters, he has endured the raw power of a supernova 50 times stronger than the Kepler supernova. He's also tanked multiple hits from the Void Hound, which in his first test run wiped out 10 star systems. He's outright survived 4th dimensional attacks from a guy named Aztec, and he's also withstood absorbing enough anti-sunlight that could wipe out half a galaxy. Although he got rocked a good amount, he suffered no major brain damage in the collision of Apocalypse and New Genesis, which are hypergiant planets stated to dwarf the size of galaxies, with these planets being stated to beam beyond the bounds of normal time and space. Within the same arc, he also endures the explosion of the Source Wall, which is insane due to how high the Source Wall scales in comparison to the rest of the cosmology. His power is so insane that he's threatened space-times in his battle with the Elder Golden Age Superman. He's matched the might of Orion, Darkseid's son, who has powered up a 5th of the Big Bang level explosion. To top his durability repertoire, he has been able to take multiple hits from Superboy Prime, who after several hours and with some help from Alexander Luthor, was able to alter the multiverse by punching its boundaries really hard. This is the same Superboy Prime who is comparable to pre-Crisis Superman, who for reference could traverse through millions of light years in mere moments, could withstand the magnetic repulsion flow of 100 galaxies, and who even managed to survive a Big Bang explosion. Pre-Crisis Superman has also flown so fast that he broke through the bonds of infinity, and he's even flown to other universes on multiple occasions. Post-Crisis Superman would also scale from these speeds and power, given that Golden Age Superman has also fought pre-Crisis Superman. Although he was amped in this fight, he was able to overwhelm Imperiex Prime, who could create a Big Bang potent enough to wipe out the DC universe, which is at least 11th dimensional and upwards of 196,000th dimensional if you want to accept Wildstorm cosmology as canon to DC, which it likely is due to them having many crossover events. He also did some work against a being called Dominus because after he was trapped for a long time, he managed to master the Theta state and he even withstood attacks from him. With Dominus being strong enough to create his own Phantom Zone, the Phantom Zone being described as a boundless, dimensionless realm. His speed is massive as he rivals and surpasses Green Lanterns, who have traveled from Oa, which is in the center of the universe, to the edge of the universe within 10 hours. Pre-Crisis Hal Jordan has even been capable of crossing through a timeless, distanceless barrier in an instant, which is consistent with the showings of other pre-Crisis characters who can scale to post-Crisis and Golden Age characters. I know people might say that this only applies to travel speed, but nah, we've seen Hal Jordan fight against Parallax Flash, who is comparable to Professor Zoom, who himself has stated that Superman rivals his speed. We've even seen Superman perceive the Flash as running back through time and has even kept pace with them. To make it even more insane, Superman has even flown through the Source, which the High Father thought to be impossible due to its properties making it so that distance and time doesn't matter. In essence, putting post-crisis Superman's speed in the immeasurable ranges, making him far beyond massively faster than light, infinite and inaccessible speed ranges. Superman has broken out of time hacks, can face through physical attacks, and he's also withstood Etrigan's Hellfire, which burns your mind, body, and soul. He's also broken through endless amounts of illusions, and even matter manipulation doesn't mean jack to Superman, who has resisted it from 5th dimensional imps such as Mr. Mixie, who is not 5th dimensional in the spatial sense, as he transcends the DC universe, which is beyond 11th dimensional. Speaking of, when the Joker managed to get a hold of Mr. Mixie's power, Emperor Joker mentally tortured Superman, while he didn't give in and resisted it. Even the mind hacks from Protex didn't subdue the Man of Steel either. Hell, when you think he wasn't overpowered enough, even the Hakai-esque nature of the Omega beams from Darkseid couldn't kill him, which is termination itself. To top it all off, even death itself couldn't take the Man of Tomorrow. There's far more crazy stuff that post-crisis Superman has done, but I hope that this overview gave you a brief sense of how overpowered this mofo really is. So, in the grand scope of things, where does Omni-Man scale in comparison to Superman? In regards to the canon comic book storyline and the tie-ins, Omni-Man is comfortably multi-continental to planetary, given that he contributed to a planetary destroying feat alongside Thetis, a shot from Space Racer, and Invincible. The core of the planet was unstable, but they should still be comfortably within these attack potency and durability ranges. Speed-wise, Omni-Man is at least relativistic given that he scales from early Invincible's feat of him shoving Alien the Alien from the Earth to the Moon in a couple of seconds. But he is likely massively faster than light, whether it be in combat or travel speed, because he was able to fly to the Thraxan planet, which is several galaxies away as confirmed in the show, and it's applied to being in another galaxy system altogether in the guidebook. I know people like to say that these speeds only apply to his travel speed, but it's very likely that they can reach similar speeds in combat, being that Alien the Alien, who flies through galaxies for his job and is fast enough to react to massively faster than light spaceships and has outright confirmed comparable reaction times in the guidebooks, was blitzed by Omni-Man, meaning that they do scale to these levels in reaction time and combat speed. When we compare them, Omni-Man could probably keep up with the likes of Doom 52 Superman in terms of speed, but power and durability wise, he doesn't stand a chance going by the stellar scaling for Superman. Him versus post-crisis Superman isn't even fair, due to Supes being far faster, being way more cracked in every category, and due to withstanding far more hacks and abilities than Omni-Man could ever hope to survive against. In regards to pre-crisis Superman, it also wouldn't pan out well for Nolan, especially when you consider the fact that Superman could just make up some power if he really wanted to troll Omni-Man. Oh yeah, and he can also vaporize him easily with his heat vision or freeze him with his super breath. Going by the crossovers, Omni-Man would scale from Supreme, who would scale from Suprema, who could hold an entire universe, and who could sew together black holes and play kickball with stars. I guess you could also argue that he has some stellar scaling going by Omnipotence being stated as being able to destroy a solar system through a chain reaction, which would still infer that he can contain large amounts of energy wide enough to create something of such a skill in the first place. Going by that, maybe you could argue that he could pull out a win against a low-end New 52 Superman, but then again, Superman has been able to pierce through the Phantom Stranger and match Orion, who should scale to his post-crisis self due to the new gods being unaffected by multiversal retcons. So I can see a normal and higher-end New 52 Superman beat the Viltrumite ruthlessly. And that's without saying, even if we have him scale from Supreme, he would still get done by pre-crisis, Golden Age, and post-crisis Superman. Now, if we were to include Rebirth Superman, it's an even bigger rap, due to this version of Superman being a fusion of post-crisis and New 52 Superman, who has done even crazier. Maybe you could wank Omni-Man if you think that an evil and invincible beating a version of Spawn means anything, since Spawn is pretty overpowered in his own right, but I don't think it is very fair to say that this version is as strong as the mainline one, unless it was otherwise stated. But if you guys would want me to scale Omni-Man off of Spawn or the Mortal Kombat game in a future video, do let me know. Either way, I think it is clear as day that Superman would absolutely wreck Omni-Man, no difficulty. It isn't even close. In an equal stats fight, although Omni-Man has vastly more combat experience than Superman and has a high degree of skill, Superman has been trained by Wonder Woman and Batman, with the former being able to usurp Ares, the literal god of war, and the latter being, well, Batman. In which case, Superman would still wreck in that scenario. As a side note, I also thought it was very weird that Robert would claim that Omni-Man would beat Superman when he says in the same interview that an early Invincible would struggle with Homelander, even though by his own writing, Invincible would absolutely slaughter the Seven. But yeah, do you agree with my assessment? Please let me know, and be sure to support me on Patreon and subscribe for more content down the line. Peace out.